So, you may have found that a bit easy, though you probably came across an interesting conundrum whilst you were doing this. So, there's many different ways of doing this, obviously. There we go. So there's many different ways of doing this. So here's a possible solution. So you have a table, you have an entity for lecturer, you have an entity for student, and you have an entity for the subject. So your lecturer entity stores all the details about all your lecturers, the student entity stores all the detail about the students, and the subject entity stores all the details about your subjects, which is fine. But then you have this sort of tricky problem of how to relate between these different entities, because the subject, I suppose, is the crucial thing, the crucial sort of relationship. But as a lecturer, I teach many students, but a student will have many lecturers. And a lecturer will teach many subjects, and a subject will have many teachers and will also have many students. We have, when you draw these entity relationship diagrams, you end up with many-to-many relationships. And that makes drawing these tables really hard. There's two solutions. So anyone who found a solution to this particular problem? You cheated. Well, cheating is a solution. So how did you do it? What was your cheat?
Students only take one subject.
Oh, right. Okay.
Literal cheating.
All right. No, that's fine. So students, you could say a student can only take one subject and just say, no, only one is allowed. You can have a list of subjects in that one box. Or what you could do is have, so you have a student, and then you have subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, subject 4. Which is kind of fine, but then what happens if a student wants a subject 35 subjects? Or 6 subjects? It also makes searching more difficult because you have to look in about 4 or 5 different entities. And like the subject that you're looking for might be in any one of those. So there's a number of different, so that's one solution. The best solution is to introduce 2 new entities. You introduce one entity to relate student and subject, and another entity to relate lecturer and subject, and it sits here in the middle of our entity relationship diagram. Which is lovely, which is grand. Yeah, and to be honest, we are running out of time, so I'm just going to skip to the end, which is an introduction to third normal form. There's also a first and second normal form. In fact, it goes up to like 6th normal form, and then there's other people who've invented their own normal forms, which are just like specifications that a database has to fulfill. Third normal form is the most important. A database not in third normal form will be difficult to work with, practically. Beyond third normal form, it becomes a little bit pointless. The thing about third normal form is that you cannot have many-to-many relationships between your entities. So in our situation where we had one student takes many subjects, but each subject will have many students, you introduce this new relationship, subject-students. Many-to-many relationships, so third normal form, you're not allowed many-to-many relationships, which are also known as non-key functional dependencies, which is a lovely snippet, if you can remember it and write it on the exam paper. That will make more sense as we go on. It basically means all of the attributes have to be dependent on the primary key. So if you have an attribute in your entity that isn't dependent on the primary key and is just sort of loose by itself and keeps duplicating, then it's not in third normal form. So student-subject obviously is a many-to-many relationship, which is bad. So the solution is to introduce a new entity called student-subject, and then that breaks the problem, and there's the solution, and that's most of the meat of the databases topic. There's a few little details here and there, and many more examples and practical stuff to come, and you need to learn some SQL. But aside from that, that's pretty much my crash course in databases. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you I'll see you again soon.